I sense that there's going to be a need for business models to change in the near future. One of the things that I highlight in the draft white paper is the rise of the third shelf, which is literally the rise of the third mile aspect of this business. And I know in Shop Soko's instance, you have delivery to your big stores that have an online presence or have a very strong physical distribution, massive in those markets. And in our continent here, players like yourselves, players like Uber Eats, Jumia already are doing this. So do you foresee that, you're going to either broaden your ambition or change your service model or evolve it in a certain way? What do you think the next steps would look like in the next, say, 2 to 3 years for your individual brands?
Who's going first?
Josh, I guess.
I was going to ask you to, I think I got lost in some of the lead up to the question in terms of what you want us to sort of touch on. So maybe if you can shorten that, then I think it will be easier for me. Unless Priscilla, you got it.
In other words, are you based on the changes that are happening, based on the analysis, for example, like what Priscilla mentioned earlier on, with a very keen focus on customer lifetime value, and then given the rise of the third shelf, as I put it, do you foresee a change in the ambitions that you have in your service offerings? Beyond being a marketplace, are you going to look at payment solutions? There was an article I read actually about Jumia using e-commerce as a Trojan horse towards getting into a big fintech play, for example. So I don't know, is that something that you guys are looking at? Maybe if you don't mind sharing, yeah.
For Glovo, we literally want to be able to get anything delivered to the customer, literally anything. And one of the categories that now is becoming a key focus for Glovo is groceries. So during COVID period, we saw a huge spike in groceries, not just in Kenya, but across many markets. For Kenya, groceries has been relevant for Glovo, where we have almost 30% of the orders coming from groceries, unlike other markets where they have 2%, 5% max coming from groceries. So that has changed. We are seeing even Spain now. We have 8 dark stores where we are opening up our own dark stores to be able to service the customers faster. We have this project called Project 900. Which is 900 seconds, which is 15 minutes. So our ambition is to deliver groceries to customers within 15 minutes. And the only way to do that is if we are able to control a lot of the things, that is by having dark stores. So I don't know if you saw in the news recently, we partnered with a real estate company. So the real estate company will invest in the real estate to enable us to open whatever we want to open, if it's dark stores, cook rooms. We have some countries that have kitchens where they only cook for delivery. And whatever we want to do, basically, we are partnering with them so that they can help us expand in terms of real estate. So in terms of the ambition, I foresee us being more critical, focusing more on groceries, and then also getting into more interesting space. How with the dark stores, it enables us also to explore different D2C models with the brands. So where if the brands would want to reach the consumers directly, we could partner with them and use our dark stores as the distribution point where they're able to sell directly to the consumers through the app. So yeah, I think in terms of where I see ourselves, those are some of the things I see us doing in the future.
For us, it's a little bit different, because I would say that what we're trying to achieve is broadening the exposure of the market on the lower tier of the production chain in, I guess, Africa. And by that, for example, when I say we sell a lot of jewelry. The jewelry is made by artisans locally. The artisans are finding themselves opened up to a market, a global market, where their goods are actually able to go through a certain supply chain and move. We've begun really working hard at ensuring that the process of getting people who are in the business of selling and looking for people who are producers a very easy route of finding producers who can produce quality goods, and a straight route into the market where you find we have tools that can say, look, as we said, like right now we're using match tools. If this tool is good, we can get it within X amount of time. So I think we're probably focusing a lot more on figuring out an expansion. Like for example, we're in jewelry today. The question you could ask is, with the amount of talent of production. You go along Ngong Road in Kenya, Nairobi, you can see how many carpenters you'll see. So what, today their market is people walk, park their cars, go and speak to them. If we have ways of ensuring that there is a really strong market flow where you could actually find, producers saying, I could actually put this online, have this sold, and as people can have the confidence of knowing these things will go through the supply chain a certain way, a certain level of quality. The producers are not really concerned about producing for people who will not be able to pay them because it's on payment, and we're able to get the goods through to the market in the shortest time possible. We think there's a huge opportunity for that, which is why we call it distributed manufacturing, because it's not manufacturing by one company, it's manufacturing across a broad spectrum of people, but it's just done really efficiently. And I think that's what we're sort of trying to crack. We do feel that DTC, I mean, the direct to customer is going to be the model that works. So that is one of the things we're looking at, saying how do we build for direct to customer models, even as we build through this. And I think if you look at the next few years, I think we'll be seeing how are we connecting what we're doing with direct to customer models to ensure that we can be as efficient as possible.
I mean, D2C seems to be like the way to go, especially for a lot of brands. They feel a lot of there's a lot of constriction from marketplace players like Amazon, Alibaba, Jumia, who hold all the customer data, and rightfully so because they built the infrastructure. But increasingly, the manufacturers are coming in and saying, "Hey, we actually need direct to consumer strategies," and I'm quite excited to see that companies are beginning to think about that. Companies like yourselves. Finally, just like any sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention that we've gotten especially during the pandemic period when it was starting, all brands wanted to come on board and set up their own shops on Glovo, and I kept on telling them that you need to be aware of the consumer behavior in terms of how they shop, because there's no way I go to a Unilever shop and then I go to a Bitco shop and then I go to a Colgate shop and then I go to a Coca-Cola shop, for example. They have to be aggregated in one place. So I remember even Colgate was giving us a lot of pressure to set up their own store, but I told them there's absolutely no way. I will wake up one day and say I just want Colgate. You buy Colgate with other things. So the opportunities they had is to partner with us within the supermarkets that we have. For example, within Naivas, what can you do? For example, you see when you go to Glovo, you have different tiles. You can, create your own gondola, an online gondola on Glovo. So getting brands to understand that people don't go into specific brand shops to buy stuff was a bit of a challenge, because they all wanted to create a shop on Glovo. And they were willing to pay whatever they could pay, like they wanted to pay whatever. The only thing that I think can work is if a product is what we call a destination product. For example, Pampers is a destination product. There's a high chance I'll go to a supermarket, buy Pampers and come out. And then it's also an emergency product. It's easy for it to run out. And then, it's easy for you to buy Pampers only. But not everything can be a destination product. So that's the core message I'd like to send out there. As much as you want to focus on a D2C strategy, it's almost impossible to have your own brand shop. That's what we're trying to do in Spain, for example, where we are telling different brands. We have this space, dark store, that has other brands as well. So just bring in your stuff and have access to the consumers. But it's under one place, aggregated, basically. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that.
I don't know if I should ask Priscilla on that. Do you find that is just a standard thing, or like I like your example of Colgate. I don't know if I remember waking up and thinking, oh my God, I need to go buy 30 tubes, which is something you're basically saying. But a clothing store, I can find 15 different in a clothing store, even if they're all clothes. So I'm wondering whether, your distinction is, via the brand or via the type of product, where, like, yeah, if you produce clothes, you could probably do that because there's many things. And if you produce Colgates, well,
yeah, it's based on the type of product, actually. So the products like Pampers would be what we call a destination product. That's why on the app right now we have a store called Pampers Direct. So they are able to sell directly to the consumer from the distributor. Yeah, so yeah, it's not all products. Like it's what you're saying. You don't wake up one day and decide I want tissue. I want this. I buy tissue and other things. So yeah, if a product is not a destination product, it doesn't make sense to have your own shop on an online platform. It doesn't matter which one, whether it's Jumia, Uber Eats, whatever it is, it doesn't make sense at all. And we had instances where brands were insisting in other markets, and we created a shop for them. They paid so much money, and then they end up being disappointed because it did not work.